What is up YouTube, and welcome to this Westworld video. If you're new, then please do hit subscribe if you want more, and like the video if you did enjoy the episode. So the whole season has honestly completely messed with my mind. The finale episode was no exception, with this being very confusing, but hey, at least we got a payoff from that season 2 post-credit scene. I mean, seriously, it's taken all these years to get to that, and now we have to wait until 2022 for the next season. However, this episode was an extra long one, and while I did enjoy it, it felt a bit bloated, but the same could be said for this season as a whole. If all of this was leading to that final scene with William, then why did we spend so long on Dempsey and his family and other moments that felt padded out for no reason? We got a lot of reveals this episode, and finally Dolores said how she actually chose Caleb for a reason. The idea of the US using host technology for live fire exercises makes sense, and defense contracts would have made Delos a lot of money. We also know that this was actually in Park 5, which we didn't know what it contained just yet. Many people theorized that Caleb was chosen by Dolores, and indeed he was. She wanted someone who could be kind to the host, which he was in the flashback, and as Maeve said, he had a choice to make and he made the right decision. Dolores was obviously going to get revived, which is what we got here, and she explains that she is done, and the pair head out into the world, which is absolute chaos. She wanted to redeem humanity, not destroy it. I thought that was quite obvious throughout the entire season. That's sort of what she actually wanted to do and wanted for humanity as a whole. She wants to burn it down, but what she means is the predictive part of Rehoboam and the humanity and the way they have been controlled and pigeonholed for years due to all this AI. I love how the RICO app has been used to pay for protests and use it for the outliers, but here we get it once again, and we get to see Marshawn Lynch and Giggles one more time. If the RICO app was to control everyone, like I said, is she simply not doing the same again here, even if she is simply paying for it? And we also see someone get paid to shoot someone else, which is what happened to Caleb in his backstory, and that was completely brushed over for some reason. We never really got much into there. They've made a big part of that last episode. The Dolores Maeve feud has been the weakest part of this season, with it not having much time to breathe and neither really understanding each other's motives or why they are doing things. They simply think that each other are in the wrong and they are both themselves in the right, and that's it. Foreshadowing the end, Maeve asks if she's making a new William, and well, one of her is there, and we get the Dolores copy of Hale. She turns up there and puts an end to it, and we head into the end game as Bernard meets Arnold's wife, and really he is Arnold, and a storyline that has lasted for 3 seasons is finally actually put to bed. Arnold is finally done as he goes in search of what will happen next after all this is said and done. The Forge, Valley Beyond, Sector 16, all of this will play a big part into the next season and where we're going. It may actually be a mirror world, a theory which has been heavily there all over the internet. We see this a bit as the aspect ratio changes and Dolores and Maeve finally have a chat to discuss what has happened and how they are one, really. Hosts should be sticking together. Maeve and her finally work that out, and my issue is that has taken so damn long and felt bloated because the whole season was leading up to this, and really they would have sort of worked out their differences if they could actually just discuss this with each other. So we finally work out Serac. He's been a puppet this entire season. Rehoboam has simply been telling him what to do, and Serac has ironically never actually had any free will. He turned himself into really an extension of Rehoboam, and they are really one and the same. So Rehoboam is destroyed and humanity is now able to be free to do exactly what they actually want to do. He needed the data that Dolores sent to the satellite to actually work, but well, she used that to save Bernard and for his future arc there. Maeve is still looking for a daughter who exists in the data where Bernard went to go in just before the final scenes. Caleb is now the leader of humanity in some ways and is free to go where he wishes, and humanity can go on their new path. I was personally hoping to see more hosts versus humans this season, and I feel that would have been a bit more of an interesting watch, and of course the themes could still be the same there throughout. Part of me is still hanging on to the theory that this is still within an AI world, as we see the maze logo throughout this episode and Solomon's triangles, but to be honest that would be way too far-fetched. I mean, Solomon was inside Dolores, and does anyone actually ever stay dead in this damn show? Her memories were wiped out, but it's not out of the question that she could have had a backup up, because she does have a lot of plot armor. That means she can make copies of herself all the same. Now, discussing the topic of her copies, they are all different. They've never actually had the same story. While they are the base version, the sort of Dolores 1.0, so to speak, when she left Westworld, well, here they haven't had the growth and the progression through with Caleb, so they are really doing their own thing, and what happens to them this season influences them throughout, which is why the Dolores is sort of become evil, because her other copy of herself knew that she would die, but she was very happy with her family, and she never got to live that world of what she wanted. Sort of a corrupt Maeve there, because Maeve wanted to have a family life, went off to kill, blah blah blah, and then it happened with Dolores as well there. So that's where we see her at the end of this episode. Now, there were 2 post-credits in this episode. Maybe I will actually get to see my host versus human story here, as the copy of Dolores that is actually Hale wants to save the world, but actually save the world for hosts, and is making her own army deep within the depths of a Delos facility. The facility, funnily enough, is in Dubai, which explains the dusty posters for this season, which we haven't actually seen yet. I'd imagine that some are made for enforcement, but following on from Dolores placing hosts in high-ranking facilities, the themes of social control will actually continue here, as copies of William are being made and the entirety of the host army are there, and they can be put in maybe as the President of the United States, for example. This version of Dolores has the Sector 16 forged data and successfully made a copy of William, something they couldn't do with James Delos, and well, now she can actually do this. She saved the facilities in the previous couple of episodes when she sent the data on when she was made as being a host by Serac. So this one is actually a continuation and a prequel to last season's whole post-credit scene, where we see William actually as a host. His inner conflict is gone, and now he is just the man in black. I imagine that the outliers from the facility in Mexico will be unfrozen and can be used, because in this episode we see that they are on a reserve power. In the second scene we see a Bernard in the same room, but now he's dusty, showing that time has passed. I love the fact that he can actually keep that room after all this time. Naturally, this matches up with last season's William scene, and they are in the same time, and I'm expecting that season 4 in 2022 will be in the future at some point. The question is, what was happening in this VR simulation? We know that time movie's different there, and well, it's curious to see how different that actually is, and what does he see that could save the world. While the first post-credit scenes are currently in a different timeline in the future, I'm hoping that they're going to return to 2 different timelines there, which would be really fun to watch and made season 1 and 2 so gripping in the end. But that's it for this video. The season is done, so let me know what you think down there in the comments. I'm very curious to see what you think and how you enjoyed this season as a whole. And that's it for Westworld. I might do some theories in a couple of weeks' time, but let me know what kind of content you want on this channel. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.